Hello everyone, it's Charmaine Marie Cacciola and my horse Capri, 8-year-old Holsteiner Cross. This is submission 4 for the Associate Trainer Program. So today is the first time I have put a saddle on Capri in 5 months since I started the Associate Trainer Program, and it seems to be going well. I had the saddle refitted while we started the program, but we haven't ridden, so I thought since the video assessment's coming up soon, I need to do ridden work and check to see if my saddle needs to be widened and refitted, which I think that it does, but that will be towards the end of the video. So either way, in work in hand today, he was quite engaged but evading a lot today. He was such a cheeky fellow. He's such a smart horse. He's figuring out that I am a lot shorter than him and he can quickly lift his head and evade the contact, and I lose that connection and all those sorts of fun training things that happen in the horse world. I also have my horse riding boots on today, which normally in work in hand I have sneakers on because I can keep up with Capri a lot better. So I am walking very flat-footed and pretty stuck to the ground and not as fluent as I normally am. But Capri is still starting to really show some positive hind activity, and his walk has improved 100% since I started Art2Ride 5 months ago. Here you'll see he's trying to evade and jog through the reins, and I just ask him to come back to the walk and continue to keep that connection and keep him walking. We are going quite well. The more I'm doing the work with Capri, the more I'm learning about my horse's body and how it moves correctly, and how this stretch is really the only way that the horse can function correctly. In saying that, I mean, I've tried many methods, but nothing seems to be able to use every single part of the horse's body except for this type of work and this stretching and really motivating the horse to really lift those hind legs and step deeply under their body. So I am really just trying to encourage him more to really go as deep as he can and find that balance. Today's a bit windy and there's a bit of sand blowing around and lots of March flies and heaps of flies. We're coming into summer, and these are the sorts of environmental training issues that I have to deal with, and so does everyone else that lives in Australia. And I suppose it's the same sort of environmental issues around the world as well. So here you can see he's really more interested in what the flies are doing instead of focusing in just getting into his work and really focusing. So this work in hand is just merely a warm-up. I really just wanted to see where he is today and what we could do with the lesson. And as you can see, he evaded my connection and asking him to move forward, and now we restart again. But you never get annoyed. You just continue to move forward, and when you get the correct response, praise and really let them know that they're doing right. Like here, he really stretched down, and you can see he's lifting those legs and really stepping into the front legs. So it's those sorts of feelings that I'm looking for. Everything else is just minimal. It's the journey to the end product, which we're getting there slowly, and it's looking better and better every time we're working together. So here he gets his treat, and he's very happy about his treat. He even has a nip at me there, and I tell him he's going to get in trouble if he does that again. But that's just Capri's cheeky side. I love horses to have personality and to have the right to, be horses, because at the end of the day, they are what they're meant to be, and that's horses. So here we are, changing to the left rein, and Capri has really got such a big stride. It's actually challenging my fitness quite a bit. I've lost 2 kilos just keeping up with him. Here you can see I'm walking kind of really hunchback funny because I've got the wrong shoes on for work in hand. But I didn't want to change the shoes in the middle of the training session, so I will know this for next time I decide to do a 3-part in one video, but that's all good. Here you can see he's really trying to focus on going and stretching into the rein. He's got a really nice movement. He's really working through his shoulders, and he's got this nice sort of wave going from his haunches to his pole when he's connecting. And again, he tries to jog through, and he evaded me, and I lost the connection again because he's a cheeky boy. And I just ask him again to move forward. I have the whip just lightly behind the stirrup, behind the girth. And again, I'm just asking him to turn into the bend. I've just got a little bit of squeeze and release on the inside rein, and him to bend out and stretch into the outside rein as we're doing the bend. I am trying to keep the circle as big as I possibly can, but we're still at the phase of knowing exactly where our bodies are and where the whip is and where the reins are, and everything's going a million miles per hour at once, and we're really just looking for that beautiful self-carriage strides. And when I get those, that's when the work becomes simplified and motivational to me. I know it's something that I've never felt or even experienced before in my life. It truly is so beautiful to feel, even in the work in hand. So Capri is going quite well. He bends really well onto the centre line here, and I'm really happy with our warm-up. He is stretching. It's the whole point of warming his whole muscles up, his ligaments, his joints, and getting the blood circulating through his body and switching on his focus, so we can get good training in. This is what I really like about Art2Ride. It's something that's probably been around for thousands of years and centuries, but it's rarely ever been taught. I've gone back through a lot of the books and videos and masters I've studied, and they rarely ever show or mention this type of deep training, especially in the modern day. But in some of the older masters, now it makes sense, because I have seen some of the work and I have read some of it. So, only through joining the associate trainers and finding Art2Ride, William Faber, Karen Lochabar and Ecotopia, none of this would be possible. So I'm really cannot wait for every time we're working together. So here we're just starting the lunge. I have the lunge line. Here he tried to roll, cheeky bugger, so I flicked him on his belly to ask him to come back up. It is quite a warm day, and he's got a new mate's wool girth, so it's nice and soft, and it's probably a little bit warm, and he just wants to have a good roll in the sand, which is fine. He can have that at the end of the lesson. So we've been doing a little bit more lunging, and the lunging work is a little bit easier on me keeping up with him. We have not done lots and lots of it, but we are starting to incorporate it a lot more, so I will get better at the judging and being able to really know when he is balanced is the word I'm looking for, when he's finding his self-carriage. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. So while he's out on the lunge line, he really does have that freedom, and you can really tell because he's really lifting those back legs and placing them down. I am a little bit up near the front today, only because he was moving quite quick, and I've been working with the different lengths of lunge line for myself. I've figured out my work in hand reins length, so that's great, and now I've got 2 different lengths of lunge line. So here he's just asking, can I go for a trot? And I'm asking him, no, can we just walk? And he's ignoring me, and yeah, it took him half a circle, but he came back. So he's just figuring out the pole pressure from the lunge line that's hooked from the other side of the bit and then through the ring of my springer bit. So we've got a nice, light, reasonable contact. It's nowhere near as light as what we have with work in hand, but that will come. And he's just an energizer bunny today. He just wants to go, look at me. I can trot and I feel good, and it's really good to see him like this. So here I'm trying to keep up with him, and he was totally ignoring, so I asked him to turn around. And I'm still asking him to slow down into the walk, and there we go, we got him. And I'm pretty satisfied with where we are at the moment. I'm still learning how to keep my distance and make sure that he is tracking up correctly, and that he is really swinging through his back and stretching and reaching for that contact. He could probably have a bit more activity, but we're not at that level yet. So I'm just keeping it straight and getting the feel for holding the whip and the lunge line and moving with him, and he's doing pretty well. He stretches really good in the lunge. He really likes the freedom of it, and I don't blame him because I'm not right next to him, so it's not crowding his space. So I was happy with that. So I asked him to stop, and I think my lunge line could be a little bit shorter, but I'll leave it for now because as we progress, he will get out bigger and stay longer out on the end of the lunge line. So here I'm just changing the rein over to the right. So here he has a bit of a little spat at me when I'm doing the rein. Like I said, he was a cheeky boy today, but that's my boy. He is such a character. The best thing about this is that you really create a partnership. You really get to know your horses, and you really spend that time understanding what it is that we're asking. And sorry, we're on the left rein, tracking to the left. And he immediately goes into a nice stretch, even with the flies and the march flies biting us, and he's stretching, and he still wants to show me how well he can trot, so I go with him for a little bit, and he's jogging, which is not what I want, but at this stage of training, I'm just trying to get him to bend those haunches out, so instead of cutting the circle off like he is here, I'm tapping him on the haunches and the shoulder to move out, and he listened there. And it's looking better here, so he's a very smart boy, and I'm very, very proud of him. We do everything together, and we'll continue to do everything together. We'll learn together, we'll ride together, and that's what I truly believe what the classical principles is about the spirit of the art of really training the horse and diving deep into the anatomy and the musculature and the bones and the joints and how they move. So here again he's wanting to trot, so I'm going with him, and he's just jogging along, and that's fine. He's still stretching, but if I ask for more activity, he's going to probably be naughty and jump around. So I didn't ask for any activity. I just am following him along at the moment just to see where we're at today. And that's the whole point of the training. Besides all the flies annoying him, the saddle doesn't look too long, but that's where I would probably need a really good opinion on whether my saddle will need to be a wider, bigger saddle. So here he starts trotting again, and he's protesting and being an 8-year-old. So I ask him to stop, have a think about it, have a breather for a minute, and we just continue on. So I don't respond to the wrong sort of behaviour. I try and guide the right sort of behaviours. So in a sense that even in these sort of environmental issues, because that's what horses need to be exposed to, everything, and it's us as trainers that need to be able to adapt very quickly and respond with a good answer to them. So here I am asking for him to move. I'm asking him to start really pushing a little bit more. I haven't got the bend, and there he did bend, so that was pretty good. And again, he's just jigging and jogging. So like I said, this is our first initial stages, and again he's trying to cut me off in the circle. So I'm walking towards him to try and push him out to a larger circle. I am trying to keep that connection because he's not really paying attention on this side. So as he's going, he's starting to stretch a little more, and I was really quite happy with that. And like I said, this is our first initial steps into really doing lunge work. And I think what I am really enjoying about learning this is that the horses really respond to the work. Their bodies show you that it's correct. The fact that my horse is 100% more balanced, more strong, and happy to do this work is astonishing. The fact that we can be so blinded to the fact that we don't understand the true biomechanics and natural movement of the horse, I guess. But the more I am doing this, the more I can see the movement is correct. The more I see the joints opening and closing, the strength in each leg, because they're becoming equal and balanced through really stepping under and lifting the back and engaging the core, really to push those withers up. And when that does happen, it's it's only for brief moments at the moment, but I am feeling it, and how I am feeling it is I have done a little bit of walk work bareback. This is our first day in 5 months with the saddle, so it's probably very interesting for us both because we haven't been on there, been riding like that. The one thing I have noticed very quickly when I was up there is that the extra weight of the saddle has made it heavier for Capri. Compared to when I ride bareback, he lifts completely straight up and stretches really deeply. So weight is a huge factor. So this is the first real day of us doing ridden work since Art2Ride, and it's exciting because I knew it had to come, and today was the day. So I just continue to keep following his head up every time he puts the head up, so that I do not lose that connection with the rein and his mouth. There is no pulling, I'm just following it up and keeping my hands wide, and I have not asked Energizer Bunny to trot, but he is that persistent today that I thought, well, okay, we're going to have to go through this anyway. We might as well do it. So he is trying to evade the connection, as you can see. So I'm just following wherever his head is going. That's where our hands are following up. And you can't really see from here, but he stretched a little on that side, but you can see I'm a little bit collapsed on my left side, and that is due to my back injury, and that's something that I work on when I am riding full time and back in the saddle. So, but my position isn't too bad. I'm just letting him walk and find his balance and find his legs. I am holding myself off the saddle quite a bit through this whole riding session to take the weight off his back. And here he just wants to hollow, but I'm just following the principles and continue to do as we are and work in hand. And I'm just watching his shoulders so that I know that he's not going to trip, because he's really pushing, but when his head's up like that, you can kind of feel them step hollowy and they can trip. Here I really stand up off his back and he can stretch, and this is amazing. So I'm really off his back. My whole weight is off, which is over 70 kilos. So again, he goes into trot, so we're just going through the whole contact phase in this session because we haven't done it. So I thought it would be a great session to voice over and tell exactly what I'm doing. So yeah, I'm just following his mouth up, and he's just continuing to hollow out, and you can see it very clearly there. The back really went down and dropped, and again he's trying to evade and push that shoulder out, and I'm just still trying to have all my weight off of him but follow him up, and we're just continually finding that space, and he really understood then and started stretching down, and he continues, and it is a beautiful sensation. Even though my position is not completely correct, this is brilliant. The floating feeling, even though he's sort of cow trotting then, I suppose. But yeah, this is really, really quite a good session for us. I know that we need to do more lunging to really strengthen his back. So here he's starting to stretch and I'm off his back again. I'm standing and just widening my hands while he's finding his legs again. So this is all new for both of us today. It's a complete first in the saddle. I do feel that I will need to get my saddle fitted down and get the saddle wide. And even though he's got the freedom of movement through his shoulders, I think a little bit wider, because he has grown so much, would help a lot more. And here he's stretching reasonably well. He's not all the way to the ground, but that's fine. He's starting to understand that, okay, we push from behind and the result is my head goes down and I have that soft contact again. And immediately he hollows, so I just follow him back up and my toes are pointing out, which is horrible, but again, I haven't been in the saddle for 5 months. Even though I still do my yoga, it's an art. Everything's an art to do with a horse. It's training. So we're doing quite well. Even I just am asking Capri to slow down and he's not listening. So I'm just following, keeping that consistent contact with him so he can't evade it. And go back down to that stretch. And it's so funny when they do that, because you can feel their back absolutely drop underneath you, and it kind of feels awkward on the shoulders, as though you're chopping wood. That's what it felt like, yeah. So again, I am lifting myself really off his back and just asking him to really push forward. And there was a little bit of a shoulder forward, but that was because that's how it happened. And again, you can see I'm got my toes pointed out a little bit, so that tells me that I need to work on my hips a lot more to stretch them out. And again, you can see I'm sort of concave to the left a little. So I'm not sitting completely square, so that's probably not helping him either with his balance. But I just keep following and following. So this is not a long riding session, and I'm off his back completely, giving him that release, and he goes down slowly. I've got that nice swing, so there are really good moments, and I'm pretty happy with this whole session. I asked for a leg yield just to see how much weight he can take, and he couldn't take the complete weight. As you can see, he turned on the forehand. So definitely more lunging to really increase the lift underneath his core, to lift his back. So I'll be really focusing on really getting that strong top line. And here we're stretching, and sort of trying to be as light as I can on his back, and just let him know and guide my hands with his mouth and keep him walking, and trying to maintain him to be relaxed. Even with the flies annoying us, he is a perfect gentleman, regardless of his little tricks here and there. What makes us better trainers, I believe. So here is beautiful. I'm really stoked with this. It's not perfect, but he is able to stretch to his knees and walk, and I can see he's lifting his knees a little. Even when he hollowed here, he's still thinking about stretching down, and he's really quite a good boy. And that was our riding session for today. So I hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully we will get stronger and be more consistent in our work, but it's definitely everything that I wanted and was looking forward to have in my life, and my horses are really benefiting from it. Capri's a total different horse. He's such a beautiful boy. So until next time, and thank you. Merry Christmas to you all. See you next year.